donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net, and together we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
Come on! I don't take them out to eat. I ain't here to trick or treat. I ain't trying to fix your weave. I ain't heard of that. I'm just here to train. Put them on the main road. Teach them how to change clothes. I know you heard of that. Change your whole attitude. It's time to take off your cool. If it make you want to move, then move. My get up on it. Just throw it back. Act like you want it. I know you heard of that. I'm the young Texas A-Roy. KG of the game. LeBron James. You must don't know my name. I'm Slim Thugger, motherfucker, the big boss of the South. And I'm just talking with my mouth. I back it up with my mouth. Before Jimmy cut the check, it was 50 on my neck and over 50 in my ear. I'm the rookie of the year. I'm here for the takeover, not out to replace Hova. It's a new hustling time. Yeah, the break's over.
Welcome in. Happy Monday. Happy Thanksgiving week. I know you're getting ready for the holiday, but thank you for clocking in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. This, of course, is the show where we hit all the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I am your host, Jill Munroe, and we have a lot to talk about. That's what the station says. That's what we do. And we're going to get into some things, but before we do, make sure you're following us on social media, KBLA 1580. I, of course, am at Stiletto Jill. Hit me up. Say hi. Hello. Make sure you've downloaded the app so you can take us with you. You know, you're going to have a holiday weekend. You might want to catch up on some shows if you missed something. That's the way to do it. And, of course, if at any point during this show you want to call in and give us your opinion, 800-920-1580, we welcome that. Add a visual to this audio experience on YouTube. Lock in there. We're there. The chat is always lively. Now, let me tell you what we're going to talk about tonight, because there is a lot on the agenda. There always is when we come back from the weekend, because so much happens. So, of course, by now you've heard that Cassie and Diddy have settled their lawsuit. So we're going to get into that, but we're also going to get into some of the response that has gone on around social media. Most notably, Slim Thug, he had to walk back some comments that he made. And of course, you know, because you guys are mean, then you went and dug up some of his old business, but that's how it goes. So we're going to get into all of that and break that down. We're going to talk about the charges that have been levied against A$AP Rocky in the second hour. Are we seeing way too many hip-hop cases currently? You know, there was a time, even though it happened, where it kind of shocked everyone and stopped everything. Now we have a new case surrounding hip-hop every week. Have we just become too complacent with all of the drama? We're going to get into that. You also, by now, have heard, like I told you, Snoop has not actually given up weed. I told you, he said smoke. He was very, very, very intentional with that wordplay. But we saw a few other celebrities come out and say that they were thinking about stopping. They had taken some breaks or time away. And Bootsy, he actually shared that he had a 28 ounce a day weed habit. I don't even understand, really believe, but understand 28 ounces of weed a day. We're going to get into that. And but he says that since he's given up weed, he is much more clear and he's seen an improvement in his life. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about there are some new requirements around media that are going to be introduced in California schools from K through 12th. There are going to be some media literacy classes that are introduced. I think that this is so important in today's world. So we're going to talk about that, what it involves, a little bit into that. We're also going to talk about Sharissa Thompson. She is a sports reporter, and she recently admitted that there was a time when she was a sideline reporter that she made up some reports. So we're going to get into that and my thoughts around that. Going to catch you up on some Adele Rich Paul news. And in the after hour, you know, Michael B. Jordan caught some strays last week. Yeah, and they actually came from one of Nick Cannon's baby's mamas. And it's about his bedroom prowess. So we're going to get into all of that tonight. But before we do, of course, I have a couple of conversation starters. These are topics that I want you to be aware of, but we don't quite have time to get into the full story, at least not tonight. First of all, big shout out to LA for the sports weekend. We put it down. Rams won. They beat the Seahawks. The Lakers beat the Rockets. I have a little bit of commentary about that. And of course, UCLA beat USC. I'm neutral on that. We win either way. But USC, yeah, give it up for LA sports. You know, we are one of the sports capitals of the country. That's for UCLA. Shout out to UCLA. That, what is it, blue and gold? Yeah, there you go. Shout out to them. Now, what I do want to say is, I don't know if you caught, you know, LeBron hit the free throw at the end of the game to seal the game against the Rockets the other day. But I don't know if you caught he and Christian Wood on the court where LeBron passed the blunt, the imaginary blunt, y'all, don't get crazy, to Christian Wood, and they smoked on that pack. I'm going to say they were smoking on that Dylan Brook. However, Stephen A. Smith saw it and was like, don't make me say it. And LeBron responded with, on Twitter, stay off the weed. So everybody has a good laugh. LeBron playing all of these minutes, 40 minutes a game, I don't know about that. Like, we got to see how that's going to work out for the remainder of the season. Also, Ludacris, he has new music coming out in 2024. He announced that on the Sherry Shepherd Show. And you can also catch him right now in the Disney Plus film Dashing Through the Snow that stars Lil Rel Howery. We're going to have an interview with Will Packard later this week, the executive producer from that. More trending topics, more headlines on the other side. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward. Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, We have a place for you here because of you. We're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So I mentioned that Ludacris has new music coming out in 2024. It's been 8 years since his last album. He's not the only one with plans for a new album. That's kind of a throwback, but this one's a real throwback. This one, you probably haven't heard new music from, I'd say, close to 20 years. He may have jumped on a single maybe 10 years ago, but I'm not sure. But looks like, and it's funny, because it's the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, and I mentioned this person. LL Cool J is planning a tour and an album, so I think that's good. I think the people really don't know what a beast LL used to be as far as live performance and on the mic. Granted, we're like, almost 40 years later since his debut, so it's going to look a little different, but LL's kept in great shape. He's another one of those rappers that I think people forget he used to rap, and they only think of him as, that guy from the CSI shows. No, not CSI. What are the shows that he's on? Whatever the show is on CBS, where it was Los Angeles, and then I think he went to Hawaii. So I'm interested to see that. I know he was on the Rock the Bells tour this summer that brought out a lot of old hip-hop acts. So I wonder if that was a warm-up to get him ready for the next level, which is his own tour. So that'll be exciting to see, won't it? I'm interested. So listen, if you received compliments from former President Barack Obama and Beyonce, which compliment would be closer to your heart? Well, for Issa Rae, she says she prefers Beyonce's compliment to former President Barack Obama's. She was recently on a podcast called Cheap Shots, and she was sharing that Beyonce, her compliment was about her face, her personally. Beyonce told her that she thought she was beautiful. President Barack Obama complimented her on the playlist and her soundtrack from Insecure, and she said that's a collaborative effort, so she can't personally take credit for that. But Beyonce telling her she's beautiful is worth everything. So shout out to that. Women uplifting women. We love to see a queen. That's not adjusting a throne. That's uplifting another queen and sharing the love. So appreciate that. Speaking of women uplifting other women, XXL magazine is coming out with a Cypher Lab, and it's been curated by Lotto, and it's going to feature Flo Milli, Mona Leo, who I haven't heard of, Maya the Don, and Mellow Bucks. and it's dropping November 28th. It's an all-female cipher. Lotto handpicked these women, so we're going to have to check it out and see what the next wave of hip-hop per Lotto is looking like. Um, I'm glad to see more women entering the game. Let's see what they have. Let's see if. Here's the thing, right? Because as much as we talk about substance, and I do like a little substance, a little change up of subject matter, we talked about this briefly last week. As dope as Cobra was by Megan Thee Stallion, do you hear anybody still talking about it? No. But they are talking about, or they were over the weekend, her ex, Party Fontaine, and his diss track that he dropped for Megan. Listen, the delivery, the flow, as far as people were concerned, not so much. He didn't do so great. But people felt like he dropped a lot of tea, per se, in there. And I bring this up before I bring up Cassie, Diddy, and Slim Thug, because they're all kind of related in a sense. So we know that Party and Megan broke up. He was with her following the events in the aftermath of the Tory Lanez shooting incident, which obviously led to Tory Lanez being convicted and going to jail. But there was a lot of drama in the conversation in what was happening if Megan told a few lies in the course of telling her story and what that mattered in the grand scheme of things. Well, Party released a new song. It was called The Person. And he calls her out and addresses a couple of things regarding their relationship. So it was released last week. I think it was Friday, right? And he made several claims. Of course, he was responding to the line in Cobra where she said that she found him in bed with someone else and how she couldn't trust him and all of that stuff. He said that he, in his song, was the realest one closest to Meg. He also alleged that she had surgery, that she got liposuction and a BBL, and that she pretended to exercise. He claims that she cheated on him and more. You know, he also said that in one of the lines, he was allegedly preparing to propose to Megan, but just that her actions were too much for him. And this included when she went on the interview with Gayle King and allegedly lied about some details. Well, not allegedly. We know that she did now. He said, "This the girl that I'm trying to propose to." Asked Greg Una, "I picked out a ring. You lied to my face, went on TV, then lied to Gayle King, yada, yada, yada." So here's the thing, right? It's kind of an interesting position to be in because, one, I am for women jumping in the ring and, dissing if they want to, not too far. We don't want any violence, but, speaking their piece, right? And I think the other person should be allowed to speak back. But it gets tricky when it's a man and a woman, and especially when you take it a step further and those that dated. Like, if it's okay for Megan to speak on what she feels went wrong in the relationship or what Party did, why is it wrong for Party to speak back? I don't know. Maybe he should have chosen some different topics. That's something you can judge or debate at your own leisure. But I don't know if I'm comfortable saying he shouldn't be allowed to say anything, though I understand that Megan is a victim and that's where people are looking at this from. Party did show some immaturity, though. He hopped on live and he was listening while he was on this live to Tory Lanez's latest album that he released from jail. Now, that's just mean. That's just taunting. And that's really immature. The thing that's crazy about that is that there are some, I don't know what you want to call them, rumors, allegations, proof. I'm unclear. But they are alleging that Party is not the age he claims to be, that he's actually significantly older. And, some of the receipts are from social media. I'm unsure. I had never heard of Party before Megan. For the longest time, I confused him with Party Next Door. Sometimes it's just that little gap thing, but we got clear. We got clear later on that they were two different individuals. So I'm unsure if the age rumor is true or not. But what are your thoughts about men dissing women in rap? Is it fair game, or is it still something that should be avoided? Because even though sometimes we want the stereotypes and gender roles, other times we don't, and it's kind of hard to sort of be clear on who does and who doesn't, and when it's appropriate and when it's not. Andy?
It's fair, 100%.
I think so too. I mean, are there boundaries that can be crossed on both sides?
No.
Absolutely. I think so. I think there's some things you probably got to ease up on
Nah,
both sides.
Because it's a male and a female dynamic. Because when it comes to male and male, or female versus female,
no. I mean, in general. So here's the thing. In general, I think that there are some things that are probably too far, but that's just my thought. I think that there are certain things that are kind of off limits, but not everybody subscribes to that. But I don't think Party is wrong for putting out a response record. I felt like people were being a little unfair and not being hip hop, by coming down on him so hard and saying it's weak. Like, critique his rap style, his flow, things of that nature. But the response, I think you're allowed to do that because that's hip hop.
Well, Megan Thee Stallion has her stands. I don't know what they call them. But
Hotties.
Hotties?
Yep.
Well, she has her hotties. So just like the beehive has a beehive, you say anything of negative criticism, or it could be constructive criticism, and they're going to come for you. So,
they are.
It's just unfortunate on his end.
I mean, listen, he'll be okay, though. He'll be okay. There are too many other scandals in the wind. People forgot about that so quickly. It just happened on Friday, but enough happened over the weekend that, people are like, I don't really know if that's important anymore. So look, Cassie, Diddy, we talked about it last week about the lawsuit. We broke down and went through the actual document, not page by page, but chose a couple of pages to inform you about, got into some details. And 24 hours later, of course, it was settled, right? People have a lot of opinions about it. Was it just a money grab for her? He's so guilty. He settled. All of these things. What I can say, in my opinion, is settling was probably the best for both parties. For Cassie, she doesn't have to endure a long trial. She doesn't have to face cross-examination and discovery. Because here's the thing, if you think that she has more secrets that could do harm to Diddy, right? What is her position or role in holding some of these, right? Don't know. There are also other entities and other people that could be involved, as far as people that allegedly helped him, the companies. So from that end, seems like, again, for him and for her, probably easier to settle. For him, he has daughters that are in high school, He has a lot of business interests. He has his own lawsuit that's going on. He has a network. He has a company, right? And let us not forget, it's not as if they were not in negotiations leading up to this. So it seems that Cassie's filing was in result of them not being able to reach an agreement prior to. I've seen lots of numbers thrown out there. The settlement is undisclosed at this time. I do think the thing with a settlement is that for the person bringing the civil lawsuit, they are guaranteed a sum of money. It doesn't necessarily mean the sum of money that they are asking for, but they are not taking the chance that they could lose in court. For the person that is on the receiving end of the judgment, it means, yes, they lose money, but maybe not as much money as they could lose when a judge reaches a settlement, you know? So, generally speaking, the settlement is usually less than the amount that the person was suing for. We don't know what the number is. It could be more, but in my mind, I feel like 20 million is probably a good number to think that they probably settled around. Don't know that for sure. That is just my thought in this. You know, we'll see what happens with it. I do think that there are lots of other people we saw, come out and say things. We know there are accusations that Wale was the individual that was dangled over a balcony. Wale kind of came out and said cap, but kind of didn't say that. I don't know. We saw some of the commentary from D Woods and Aubrey O'Day from Danny D. Kane. They've kind of hinted that they might file a lawsuit. Don't know. We'll have to see what the terms could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be, if they were to, on some form or fashion, involving sexual assault. We know that the crimes for that, November 23rd in New York State, is when that statute of limitations window that they opened up closes. So we'll have to see what happens. But right now, they settled. Slim Thug, though, had a lot of commentary about it, which he then backpedaled from. But I'm sure some of his thoughts equaled, and you see in the comments a lot of people saying, well, it's a money grab, and various things. So when we come forward, we're going to get into Slim Thug's comments, then his backpedaling and his apology, and also some prior comments that he made about Bill Cosby and his situation, and how that all led to the internet also trying to dig up some potentially dirty info on him, because that's how y'all do. If somebody says something you don't agree with, you're like, ooh, we're going to go get in your business and find out what you did wrong so we can come back at you. I'm not saying it's necessarily the wrong thing to do, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I say that as I have on a petty shirt tonight. This person has been rated petty, prone to clapback. So I get that. I understand that. But we're going to get into Slim Thug's comments on the other side, a little more into Cassie and Diddy, plus, some other stories and headlines. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
I know you heard of that. Change your whole attitude. It's time to take off your cool. If it make you wanna move, then move. Get up on it. Just throw it back. Act like you want it. I know you heard of that.
Gangsta, show your trill. If you're pimpin', show your ring. If you're ballin', show your paper. If you're shining, show your bling. Show your bling. King of the underground, holding the throne down. Wanna try to take it from me?
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A second suspect wanted in connection with last month's mass shooting at HBCU Morgan State University has been arrested. 18-year-old Javon Williams was taken into custody by Washington, D.C. police and is charged with attempted first-degree murder. The October 3rd shooting injured 5 people during a homecoming event at the Baltimore City University. Williams was also the target of an interstate fugitive warrant stemming from a D.C. guns and conspiracy case. Actor Wayne Brady is recovering after getting into a car accident that ended with a fight in California. Brady's car was hit by another vehicle in Malibu Sunday night. When Brady and the other driver pulled over, the two got into an altercation that turned physical. The other driver fled after the fight when Brady called the police and was eventually arrested for battery, DUI, and hit and run. Brady is reportedly just a little banged up and is taking it easy for the time being. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
At In-N-Out, our hamburgers are made with the highest quality ingredients, made fresh and by hand, made with a smile, and made to order just for you.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be. We share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours, now through December 20th. All of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net, and together we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
So I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Boom, 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 boom.
Nissan has a car for every driver who wants more. More action. More fun. More guts. More head turns. More adventure. More electric. At Nissan, more is all we do.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Come to me, I can be what you need, oh baby.
This bad boy. Feels good to be back. I missed you. Relax your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with the sounds of the BBE. You know what time it is. Report to the dance floor. Okay.
See you at the corner of my eye, leaning on the wall, looking fly. come be with me. You're the only one I wanna talk to, but I don't wanna rush. I'm here, and will you make your move? I see you, I am me. I want you, why don't you come to me? I can be what you need, oh baby. I stand here, waiting, get to know me, come and get to know me.
Yeah, you know what time it is.
Listen, Dirty Money was a vibe.
You
You guys gonna be able to still listen to Diddy music? Are you still down with Revolt? Are you okay? Are you on board with the love movement? Are you still in your Duce and Ciroc moments? I mean, all of that stuff, it matters. Is this going to be something that's just gonna, a minor bump in the road, something that will always come up, but does it impact your thoughts about Puffy, P. Diddy, love, and how you'll interact with his content in the future? Just wondering. So listen, Slim Thug, he got on Instagram. He says that he does this all the time. He always talks to his followers about things that are going on. But this particular one, it took off. And he had some comments about Cassie settling. And it's not as if others don't share this view. Is it fair? Is it fair to ask the question? We're going to hear what he has to say.
That coming back and getting Bill Cosby, coming back and getting Puff, I don't believe in that, man. When you go down, speak on that right then, or it's out of it. It should be null and void. You shouldn't even have no type of nothing. You shouldn't be able to do unless you let the people know what happened immediately. It should be a time limit on it. What happened was you got around them and stand up on love. This is what happened. I'm gonna tell you what always happened, right? You was with a billionaire with all this bread all this time, and then you followed your heart to with a trainer. That apartment got smiled in the that lifestyle fell off. Now it's struggle time. The love wearing off, and now you trying to come up with ways to figure out how to get paid. Now I'm healed and I can talk about it. I want to expose in my books.
So the thing about that is, one, you can't really put a timetable on when someone is ready to open up. There is, however, a statute of limitations for these type of things. Depends on what state you're in, what that time frame is. In New York State, as we discussed, the time frame will be up for the particular time that Cassie is talking about, November 23rd. They were in conversations about some type of settlement, some type of monetary provision, but it just didn't happen. So Cassie showed her hand. Now, her reason for doing this, there could be a lot of things could be true at once, or none of the things people are speculating could be true, outside of she felt she was hurt, she felt she was wrong, and she wanted to do something about it. We don't know what caused her at that particular moment to put the case out. But ultimately, as has been discussed, I hope everyone understands, there was never going to be, at least as far as we're aware, a criminal case. She did not go to the police. This was always civil. Civil is about the coins. How else can you equate to someone's pain and suffering? You can't reverse back in time. An apology's not going to get it. So all you really can do is sue for financial compensation. So there it is. And second, Puffy paying quickly, again, they were already in conversation. So who knows what made them reach an impasse, and the decision might have just come down to a dollar figure. He may not have wanted to pay it. She may not have liked what he was offering. And now they're kind of forced to come together. Whatever it is, it's closed. I'm sure that, and it was alluded to, I believe that she will not be able to speak on it in the future about the settlement. She can't certainly write a book or anything like that. So, we'll have to see what it ultimately means, what it means for her, and what she does next. Who knows what Diddy will do? I think that, I was thinking if I was with Diddy's crisis PR team, how I would handle the situation. And I feel like, if we're being honest, they've already been laying the groundwork in case some of this came out. I think the fact that at the BET Awards in June, when he was honored and he shouted out Cassie for being there when he was in a dark place, alludes to that. There's a story that Gene Dial, Puffy's former bodyguard, Diddy's former bodyguard, has shared a while ago. I'm not sure if it was on, The Art of Dialogue or Vlad TV. He frequents both of those, I believe. And at one time, that he alluded to that allegedly the way that Diddy allegedly got into prescription drugs was following an injury that happened because of an altercation with Kim. So that right there, if, probably not the details, but if it is the result of an injury and, prescription drugs that were prescribed and overprescribed and a path that led to a dark period without really alluding to what happened, we'll have to see. There's all types of ways that this stuff can be spun. I know that there are photos out there of him, and people are like, oh, paparazzi setup, maybe. But if he was in his Miami home, which I believe that he was, it's located on Star Island. So a long lens camera and a boat, and you can cruise right by. And if someone's outside, that's what you get. Could have been set up, though. We will never know. But I do expect that we will see a more subdued Diddy for the time being. Not forever, necessarily, because once again, they settled. So we'll see. We know that there is enough scandals, and the way the past 2 weeks have been, this might just blow over for some. And I'm not saying it should, but for some, a week or two on to the next. That's just the way it happens. So the other thing with Slim is that, I think that when you are around any industry that deals with a lot of money, but entertainment in particular, you do become a tad bit jaded because you see a lot. You see a lot of things, right? And again, I'm not defending his position. I'm just saying in general why people would be skeptical for something like this. You do see instances where people maybe change their mind, exaggerate details. Again, not saying that this is the case with Cassie, not saying that Diddy is guilty either. It's just that if you have been around the industry long enough, you could probably think of any given scenario and see someone being truthfully, brutally honest and people ignoring them, someone making fabrications and lies up and people believing them, and there's nothing the other person can do. Money and fame are strange bedfellows and cause people to act in ways that are not always logical. When we come forward, we're going to hear Slim's apology and his prior thoughts on Bill Cosby. So it's apparent that he's just not in the mind frame of women coming forward years later. For whatever reason in his mind, that means that they're not being truthful. And I get it, but I don't. It's kind of not fair, but we'll get into that. All that and more, you're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Do you have both Medi-Cal and Medicare?
If so, the new LA Care plan called Medicare Plus can help you get the most out of your health plan for $0.
LA Care provides personalized service to Angelinos like us.
Plus, it gives us access to doctors and specialists across Los Angeles County.
For zero cost, we get access to full benefits.
From vision coverage,
in-home support services,
to prescription drug coverage,
and a quarterly over-the-counter allowance,
plus personal equipment,
meal programs,
a gym membership,
and so much more.
For more than 25 years,
LA Care has provided Angelinos with access to quality health care at an affordable cost.
For our families,
our seniors,
our community,
it's a plus.
It's a plus
for all of us.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with one of the panelists, the owner of Kids Love. Take a listen.
So Kids Love, KIDS-LUV, is a first-to-market zero-sugar, vitamin-enhanced functional beverage for kids.
So the zero sugar is really important because if not, the sugar gets on the teeth, it can cause cavities. So as a mom, I love this. Vitamins and hydration in one. Tell us what's happening here with Chase Bank today.
So I would say, I think what Chase is trying to do is create a community, actually, for entrepreneurs, a place where people can go. They have the space to do it. It's a beautiful space. And to be able to have these conversations. There are so many benefits to being a women-owned and certified business, from a standpoint of getting into stores, not paying the slotting fees of what it takes to be in stores. So I think Chase is trying to bring awareness to a lot of the things that people just don't know about, that not only the bank can help, but outside of the bank, their relationships can help create.
That's beautiful. And I know, this is how we build equity in communities of color, is kind of spreading that information and that knowledge. So thank you for being here today and doing your part and letting these women know that it is possible.
For KBLA 1580, I'm Maisha Cairo in the community with Chase.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we are talking about Slim Thug and his comments surrounding the Cassie and Diddy settlement. Andy?
I'm just curious to know, right before you went to break, you talked about how you find issue with Slim Thug's stance on, women taking this long to speak out, right?
So it's not that I find issue with it, because I understand where it's coming from. You feel like if someone wronged you, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you speaking up? But I also understand that some people are cowards. Some people are scared. Some people are conflicted about, hurting someone even though they were hurting them. So I understand both sides. I understand the frustration with waiting until evidence might not still be there, waiting till it's harder to prove. But I also understand the psychological damage that can happen to some people, and not everybody has the same strength as, you might. Some people are like I often, one of my friends, we were talking and they kind of mentioned, they're like, how is it that for as long as you've worked in Hollywood, you sidestep those type of things? Like, I've never, and I think it's one, I'm good at saying no thank you, right? But I also haven't been in the position where I felt like I wanted to do anything to be famous or anything to break into this industry. I don't have that. And I think it's by nature of growing up in LA, it being so close, seeing it up close for as long as I did in child, and through that. So I think of it maybe differently. I don't know what it's like to have, I know what it's like to have a burning desire and to really want something, to really try hard. But fame and money and power that come with entertainment, celebrity, Hollywood, that's a different type of allure for a lot of people. And I've seen it. I've seen people switch up their morals, understanding what they're about to do and still get into some stuff. And you're just like, really? You know, what do you say to that? Like, they were of sound mind. And I understand Slim's point that, I've also seen people have some regret about that. Now, the jury is out on the responsibility of the outside individual, what they play. I guess it depends on the scenario. It's easy when you're talking about children or under the age of 18, but once you're talking about adults, things get tricky. And I also think a lot of times the way that women are positioned in these situations, for me as a woman, sometimes, again, I understand sometimes it's presented as, oh, she didn't know any better. She was so naive and helpless. And I understand there's a certain amount of that when you're talking about young age. But sometimes I feel that it takes away agency as a woman and a woman to know right and wrong. But again, everybody's at different levels. So, you'll only know things like that if you get to know a person and see the scenario up close. What do you think?
I don't know. Like just hearing you speak just now, you obviously, in reference to you obviously had a certain level of awareness about Hollywood, right?
Facts.
To
Yeah.
where, you probably wouldn't have made the decisions like a Cassie did. And I don't know. Cassie has been around, what, 20 plus years now?
Close to it. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can make the case that Diddy's career was still evolving to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like at this point, when it comes to Hollywood, just the culture of Hollywood, stuff like this, at least for me, should kind of be expected. Male or female coming into this game, you should have a certain awareness that there's a lot of shady business going on, and some of your quote unquote heroes are, culpable.
I mean, and that is facts. I feel like that's where your moral compass has to kick in and your values, and again, that is not casting any blame or anything like that, but, you live long enough, you've been around enough things, you're going to see a lot of different angles and aspects of it. So, for Slim, someone who has been a rapper, probably exposed to some things, probably been tried to shake, someone tried to shake him down a time or two, he's naturally going to be a little bit cynical. Again, not agreeing with him, just pointing out what his base and experience is probably causing him to look at this with a different sort of eye.
Because also it had me thinking, like, what if Cassie was a male saying these things? Would we I don't know, give grace to the man for, taking his time to speak out?
I think yes and no.
Okay, speak on that.
So if it is a man and the situation was happening from another man, absolutely people would give grace because they would, I'm going to tell you why, because they would understand, not everyone, but they would understand him being embarrassed, not wanting to put that out there, feeling ashamed. Do you know what I mean? That a man had taken advantage of them in that way, right? Look at how many times Usher has been thrown under the bus in these past couple of weeks, right? And depending upon what side you're on, this was either a younger guy that was hanging out with somebody that was like an older brother. And back in the day, life was really different. Rules are really different. And your big brother put you on to some stuff and that was okay. Now it's not. And I'm not saying it was okay then, but it was just different thoughts about different things. So I think as a man, if again, depending upon who the man was, if it was someone that was, let's say we're making up a singer and the singer's name is Johnny Black, right? Johnny Black does not exist. But Johnny Black came up under the tutelage, right? Tony Yayo brings up people did not show Terry Crews any grace. But that's where I think context is important. I think that Terry Crews was not shown any grace because people already kind of had it in for him for some of his positioning regarding, Black women, Black culture, Black things. So I think that sometimes affects how people look at you. Terry's a big guy. So they looked at him like, you couldn't defend yourself? Oh, you being weak, you being a punk, right? Again, context, it depends. It depends on who the artist was. It depends. Like, if someone came out and was like, Suge Knight made this man, the famous outlaw Johnny Black. Yes, Thomas Outlaw, a Johnny Black exists, but I'm talking about singer Johnny Black that's currently out now. They don't exist, so we cool. Andy?
As we're discussing this, it got me thinking about the Lizzo situation too. But this is female to female.
Right.
And I know we've talked about it, I feel like ad nauseum, but I'm just curious to see if there's any, comparisons to this situation. You know what I'm saying? Being a female.
I mean, to me, right? Again, to me, right? I understand this is your livelihood and your job, right? And in theory, something like that could happen at any place you work under any condition where maybe you don't want to speak up for fear of holding on to your job. But at what point does your moral compass kick in? Okay, maybe you can't do it right there, but how long do you stay in that job and justify it? Those are decisions you have to make within yourself. And at what point do you become accountable and complicit for the situation that you were involving yourself in?
Real quick, I think you pointed it out. The key right there is one, losing their job. That's essentially like losing your livelihood. I can understand somebody maybe wanting to keep quiet because they need to make a living.
I mean, and that's facts. When we come forward, we'll get more into this. We're also going to talk about A$AP Rocky. He has some charges coming up. Is it too blasé in hip-hop with all the charges that are happening? Are we not taking in the seriousness of everything that is going on? We're going to get into that, plus more trending topics and headlines. Angel Reese, LSU drama, all of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Anywhere I appear, they all stop and stare, admire your body language.